Pessimism is so interesting because it is actually hardwired into our brains. Psychologists nowadays understand that the brain evolved basically as a survival organ. The idea was that anything in our history, any random mutations of the brain as humans were developing that might help us to survive long enough to reproduce and pass on our DNA, we're going to continue and indeed be passed on to our offspring. So if you imagine one of our ancestors out there on the African savannah, looking at an ambiguous shape, let's say a kind of beige or yellow shape behind some bushes, they could have made one of two types of errors that basically correspond to type 1 and 2 type errors and type 2 errors in modern scientific research. A type 1 error would be a false positive. They'd go, "Oh my God, it's a lion," when in reality it was just a beige rock. A type 2 error would be to say, looks like a beige rock, when in reality it was a lion. Now, our ancestors could make countless type 1 errors and still live to tell and pass on their DNA to their offspring. One type 2 error, the end of their DNA line. So we might imagine in ancient times, there were these happy hominids hanging around, telling stories about luscious pieces of fruit, dynamite sexual encounters, and other wonderful things in life, and anticipating more of those. They, however, were not our ancestors, because statistically, they died before they got to reproduce. Our ancestors were the ones running around the savannah going, "Oh my God, that might be a lion. That could be a poisonous snake. Looks like one of those plants with the spines. Remember what happened last time?" So we actually developed what cognitive scientists call a negativity bias, a propensity when faced with ambiguity to imagine the worst and imagine that the worst is going to happen. So in many ways, interestingly, pessimism is a natural predisposition.